So maybe now it's time to cut. So that could be something to drop down the market. So we have these two forces pretty much. That one is the interest rate that will, that if the interest rate drops, more buyers will be able to jump in the market and afford things again. And at the same time, we need to make sure the...
Hey, this is Scotty from the Gifford Group, and today we got a special guest with us today, Daniel Tanassas. He's a local realtor in the Houston area, and today we're going to be talking about the market and what we're seeing, and kind of getting both of our takes on what we're seeing and what we expect going into the future of 2024.
Hey, Scotty, good to see you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so let's just jump in. I just want to hear what you're kind of seeing out there in the current market, and then we'll maybe jump into some the numbers.
Yeah, the market is definitely getting better from what I'm seeing here. Interest rate dropped quite a bit. I think now the interest rate is around like 6.2 to 6.4 average. So that's a pretty low compared to what we had a year ago. Actually, it's like the loan applications jumped like 28% week over week after they dropped so much. So we expect to be a good year for real estate. We expect a lot of new buyers to jump into the market. So yeah, we're excited about what's about to come.
Yeah, I feel like some people kind of maybe put the brakes on everything last year when we saw the rates kind of still could staying high, and people are just being more hesitant about what they thought, if they're going to move forward or not. And I am seeing the same thing. I think people are getting ready. Springtime is always a kind of a busy time. People start looking right now at the beginning of the year, getting ready to move forward. So I agree with you on that. What are you seeing personally, have you any like you see more people reaching out to you and asking questions?
For sure, yeah, we see an increase in that. A lot of more people are like, yeah, I think I'm ready to buy now. I just got my pre-approval, or people are reaching out. People that I already had contact with before, they were like, yeah, I'm interested in buying something, but after that they kind of like, yeah, I cannot find anything. Now they are back up in the game. They are asking me for like lenders information and starting to get things rolling, preparing to buy something this year. So I definitely can feel that the activity is picking up.
Yeah.
Yeah, with this drops in the interest rate for sure.
Yeah, that's and I've seen that too. I've seen people kind of being more curious, and we still have, I've seen a lot of people have been reaching out to meet us for, moving out of state as well. Like they got people moving from Florida, they're moving here or thinking about moving here. Sometimes I think like, if you are moving from a different state, you come into Texas and you see like high tax rates, and that kind of puts some people off. And especially when they see the high mortgage rates, they're like, I don't know. But now as they start to creep back down, and I think overall, I think the Fed is done raising rates this year. They're, done doing that. And if anything, there might be cutting, and the market's always forward looking, right? So as we get throughout this year, I think we might see, hey, as those rates keep dropping, more and more people are going to be able to afford things, right? So
yeah, exactly. That's kind of what we expect. Actually, they already projected 3 cuts for 2024. So yeah, as you said, market, it's always forward looking, and the bond market already priced in that, and that's why we got already this drop in interest rate. So yeah, that should definitely be a bullish sign for real estate, and we expect that to help. Also, something to keep in mind probably is that usually the Fed doesn't drop rates unless they feel like there is something that needs some stimulation. So the job market being a little bit more fragile, and a little bit more layoffs and stuff like that. So I think that's kind of the leading indicator they are reading into, and they are like, yeah, the job market maybe is getting a little bit cooler, so maybe now it's time to cut. So that could be something to drop down the market. So we have these two forces pretty much. That one, interest rate that will that if the interest rate drops, more buyers will be able to jump in the market and afford things again. And at the same time, we need to make sure the job market is not getting too slammed by the high interest rate, and we're not going to have a lot of unemployment, because that can be a downward pressure for the market and for the growth of the prices. But generally speaking, yeah, demographic, a lot of millennials are looking to start families and buy their first house. And I think these two forces, I think the interest rate will win, and interest rate dropping, I think a lot of new buyer will be able to afford houses, and I expect be a really good market this year, although we have the pressure for the job market being a little bit more fragile.
Yeah, no, I think I agree with you on everything you just said there. And I think too, the biggest thing, which was a lot of people, the millennial, I'm maybe an OG millennial myself, but the millennials are wanting to have a home ownership, right? They're wanting to have the American dream, which has been sold to them, and it's been the idea, and it's great. I mean, that's how most people capture wealth in America, right? They have their 401k and then they have their house, right? And so the idea of home ownership as the ability to buy something that is going to probably appreciate for you, and it gives you a place to live, right? So even if you are a renter, that only solves half the problem. Like, you still have inflation happening all the time, so at least that the personal residence you have allows you to be the hedge against that inflation. And we'll talk about in our next video when we dive into Daniel's story a little bit as a real estate investor and how you could even capture more of that market by allowing you to own multiple properties. But today we're just going to stick to the current market we're seeing. And I think let's go ahead, and if this is maybe a good point to go ahead and jump into some of the actual numbers we're seeing for the Houston market. What do you think?
Yeah, I was just pulling up a little bit earlier the numbers from HER for Houston market. So for prices, we are pretty much flat year over year. Last year, average price was 413,000. Now it's 412,000. So it's pretty much flat, $1,000 difference. The big difference we see, it's in the volume. It's like 12% drop in the volume of sales, or like number of homes sold, and also in volume, dollar volume, it's like a 3.7% drop. So definitely a little bit less activity in the market because of that high interest rate, that it's pricing out a lot of people that instead of buying something, they decided to rent and wait it out until interest rate drop, and they will be able to jump back in. So that's why we think this coming year, all those people that were just waiting on the sideline, they're going to be able to jump back into the market and be ready to find their new home.
Yeah,
looking at the rental number, rent actually went a little bit up this year. So last year was 21.56 average rent price, and now it's like 22.07. That's a 2.4% increase in rent price. So that's actually a very healthy rent increase. Like in a normal market with not a crazy inflation or anything like that, that's kind of what you expect. You expect to have a little bit, maybe 3% increase in rent. But 2 to 3%, that's pretty much a normal, healthy market. So it's a good sign that we don't see drops there. And also in the new listing, we see a little bit more listings, but yeah, not a lot of change there. Like in the rental market, it's pretty strong. As we said, all those buyers that flew away from the buyer's market, they found themselves as a renter now. So that market is still pretty strong.
Yeah, I think, and I think that's one thing is, like, if you're not buying a home, well, then you got to live somewhere. So you're going to continue to rent, or you're going to, have to move in with somebody, right? So most people either probably move from one rental to another. And every time they move, as you as a landlord know, you want to raise the prices back to current market. And so it's like, as there's tenant turnover, you look at the market and go, oh, okay, well, now I can charge more for the rent. So as landlords, get people to move, they increase their prices or they sell, right? And so I think the prices are pretty flat year over year. That's actually probably a good sign considering how much we saw the increases in the interest rates here in the Houston area, right? And I think that's the big driver is because people are still moving into Texas from other states, and they're still moving into the big cities, right? And into Houston area market that we're speaking about here. So seeing that the median price is basically down a little bit and the average prices is just flat, it's just pretty good signs for the market to continue to be, a fairly strong market, I think, even if the sales volume are down, because I think that volume is going to pick back up once we have some of these changes and move into the springtime. So, yeah. So is there anything else that you might want to mention or cover during this?
Yeah, for a home buyer, probably interest rate will drop, and that means the prices will probably go a little bit higher, but probably going to make it more affordable because of the interest rate drop. So I think, yeah, still more people will be able to afford to jump into the market. So for a homeowner, that is looking to buy something, probably 2024 is going to be a good year to do that.
Okay, so you think yourself too that you're going to see it's going to be a good year to buy too. And what makes you think that other than just the interest rates dropping? Is there any other factors you think that, why is it going to be a good time to buy? If you're convincing me, hey, I'm just a Joe Schmo looking to think about buying a home. Why should I buy a home this in 2024?
Everybody has to pretty much do those estimation, because you don't have a crystal ball, you cannot know the future. And instead of trying to time the market, like, hey, that big recession is going to come, I think it's better to just find something that you can afford in an area you want to live in. Buy some house, even if it's not your dream home. Let's say you cannot afford your dream home. Usually, nobody buys their first home as their dream home. You usually trade up, like you buy your entry-level house, stay in there for 3-4 years, sell that one, use the profit for down payment for the next one, stay there for 4 or 5 years, move to the next one, and eventually after 3, 4, 5 trading up, you're gonna get your dream home. So just start with what you can afford. Make sure you don't overspend on a house. I would say make sure you're not going to be house poor just to have that dream home from the beginning. As long as you can afford the monthly payment, I think it's a good time to buy. And always keep in mind that even though interest rate is not at 3% where it was in 2019, you're always going to be able to refinance that out. So buy it now at 6, stay in there for a couple of years. After that, let's say interest rate drops again to like 4 or maybe 3, although I'm not sure how soon are we going to see those kind of interest rates again. And just refinance out. And after that, whenever you're ready to move to a nicer home, do the trade up.
Yeah, no, I think that's great advice right there, because I think a lot of people, they want to go buy the big house, a big expensive house, and that's not realistic for a lot of people, right? So, I mean, I myself went through, we bought the small little house, it was a little 3-2, 1,500 square feet, right? And we live in a much nicer house now, but like it was a process, right? I didn't start off with the big house. I didn't need the big house. I didn't have any kids, right? I only needed a 3-bedroom was more than enough, and we grew past that, and then we decided, okay. And then we looked at the market and said, okay, now it makes sense, right? So you always got to make those adjustments as they go, right? Because I think a lot of people, they just want to shoot to the end, and no one shoots to the end. It's not a straight line, right? There's always obstacles and things that get in your way. And so having that idea of like, okay, this isn't my forever home, right? Like there's like when you buy a shirt, it's not your forever shirt, right? You just buy the shirt that fits you now, and then later on, if
For sure.
you buy a different one, right? You see a nicer one, you move down, if you can afford it, you buy that. So I think that's a good takeaway from that, is that, hey, just it's the best time to buy is now, and then you can make adjustments as you need. You can either refinance or you can move up again. And if it's now, the rates drop, you can buy the bigger house, and now you have some equity, right? And you can move on, roll the equity over to the new one. So
Exactly.
good takeaway.
No, I think that was good. Yeah.
Well, I just want to thank you again, Daniel, for being on the channel. And if you are interested in reaching out and getting in some more, looking to buy in the Houston area, you can reach Daniel or myself here. We'll put the links down below for both of us. And just, Daniel, how can people best reach you if they're trying to get a hold of you?
They can probably best reach me on my email address. We can put that down in the description.
Yep.
Or either or Instagram, that works as well, if that is easier for somebody to just DM me on Instagram. We can also put that one down below.
Nice. I'll put both of your links down below for Instagram and your email. So, all right. Well, thank you so much for watching. And as always, we're here to bring you real life experience to all your real estate needs.
Thank you, guys.